Now, from one, we were just talking about Hillary Clinton there, from one candidacy to another. We've got another important election coming up here in the months to come. Another day here in the island, and another islander stepping forward for Jersey's senatorial by-election. It's in September. A political campaigner with 50 years' experience. He's well known to many, and now Mike Dunn says he's the man to fill the vacant spot in the States after Zoe Cameron stepped down last month. We've been speaking to the candidates as they announced their standing. Mr Dunn, morning to you. Thanks for coming on this morning.
Yes, morning, Jim.
You've got quite a specific platform, as I understand it, and it's all to do with Brexit. Why have you gone for that specific focus?
Well, Jersey, after Brexit, the decision was made by people in the United Kingdom, primarily, that the United Kingdom should leave European Union. Of course, that has potentially huge implications for the Channel Islands and the Isle of Man. And my view is that the people of the Channel Islands and the Isle of Man ought to be fully consulted. It's not enough. We went into the European Union. People of the Channel Islands didn't vote on it when we went in. The negotiations were done by a very few people, mostly in secret with the Jersey government and mostly in secret with the UK government. And we came out with this Protocol 3 arrangement, which was a long time ago, 1970s.
And that's the link between the UK and Jersey, then?
Well, it's the link between, this has all changed since then, because the European Union has changed. That's the link between the Channel Islands and the Isle of Man and the European Union. How much it's a link between the United Kingdom is not so clear.
We're not here in the island officially in the EU. Why are you so convinced that people in the island should have a say?
Well, whatever arrangement, you see, there's things been happening. A few weeks ago, Senator Balash reported to scrutiny on the decision, the June the 23rd decision of the United Kingdom to leave European Union. And he came back and he said, we want to maintain the status quo, Protocol 3, as far as possible. Whether there will be a Protocol 3 is one matter. Who will negotiate whatever arrangements take place, as he said, is not clear. We assume that the United Kingdom government will negotiate on our behalf. But he had some specific proposals which he said were going to be pursued already. And one of these was set up a banking authority for Jersey, and the other one was to set up a body which would appoint Crown officers, the law officers in the island. Now, that has been very little referred to since then. Now, I was wondering, because obviously, as we know, one of the themes has been, Senator Balash over the years, has been independence for Jersey. And that's one of the very worrying themes, that if by some reason, some process, we were gradually pushed towards independence.
Do you think that's what the Council of Ministers wants and what's going on behind the scenes then?
I honestly don't know, and they're being a bit evasive on it, and the implications of it are not well known, and this is the whole point of my putting myself up for a candidate, that we've got the candidacy, the seat is for 2 years as senator in the local, which is very fortunate. Over the next 2 years, a great deal of the basic discussions will take place, and it's a golden opportunity to have somebody in the States who's prepared to challenge whatever the proposals are, to establish a dialogue with the general public, so that the general public they're not just consulted, they fully participate in the decision making. Obviously, if there was, say, for example, suppose it led towards independence was the decision that was arrived at, that would have to be a matter for a local referendum. And of course, you've got to bear in mind that we're talking about Jersey, Guernsey and the Isle of Man. Whatever arrangement is made for Jersey will almost certainly have to apply. It doesn't have to, not inevitably, but almost certainly will have to apply to Guernsey and the Isle of Man. And those circumstances are not by any means identical.
Do you think that you could make a difference as a single senator coming in for a couple of years to this huge issue as one man?
Absolutely. Dedicated to it with that agenda. That is my purpose being there. It's 2 years. I'm very experienced at campaigning, and I think the public, if they elect me, will want that to happen. They will want me to be their spokesman. I'm not saying they will elect me, but if they do, and I'm prepared to dedicate the next 2 years, and as I've said in my manifesto, I'm not looking to go beyond that. I want this crucial 2 years of negotiations, very complex negotiations. It's worldwide agenda. They're talking about doing deals with Canada and Australia. Well, those deals cannot happen unless they're acceptable to whatever arrangements are made in Europe. So the whole thing has to be done very carefully, and it's very far-reaching, and it's very long-term.
It's very difficult, or often difficult, for backbenchers in the States to get things done with the Council of Ministers. If they've got a set agenda, it's easier for them to push something through. Would you want to be a minister then to try and get this
Absolutely.
through?
There's no scope for any more ministers. There's already a minister, which is Senator Balash. That's his specific job now, to deal with these negotiations.
Would you want to do that job eventually, though? Would you want to be a minister?
No, I've got no aspiration at all. My purpose is strictly to be a go-between between the general public and the States Assembly. Obviously, if I'm elected to the States, I will have other duties. I would deal with constituency matters, which I deal with anyway because I'm a very active political person. This is what I do politically. I liaise, I attend all scrutiny meetings, I report on scrutiny meetings, I campaign for things, I support individuals and present their cases. I do all that stuff anyway, which I must say, in my opinion, from my experience, is rather more than many States members do.
You're certainly a non-establishment figure. I think that's fair to say. One or two of the other candidates could be described that way as well. Is there a danger that the anti-establishment vote could be split, and that could hamper your bid?
I don't think so. This is a 2-year term. This is all this is. People have to see the reality of it. This is a seat for 2 years. It's hardly going to be groundbreaking as far as the constitution of the local states is concerned. And bear in mind, it's to replace a person who is hardly active in the states anyway. She won't, I don't think, be greatly missed, and I don't think it'll make that much difference to the constitution. As far as the vote is concerned for these people, the general public needs to hear views on many things. And I'm hoping that the dialogue during the course of the campaign will have a large content looking at the very issue. In other words, I hope that this will become an issue during the campaign, that Brexit will become an issue.
Craig in St Helier got in touch and says, what does he want to do with unemployment? Craig says, I'm over 50 and I've been left on the scrap heap.
That's not my agenda for this. This is a 2-year. There are 49 states members. There are 48 other states members dealing with all sorts of issues. I'm not going to ignore it, but obviously unemployment is an issue which needs to be dealt with. But part of the problem with Brexit, and I say all these things have a Brexit implication, is that it's about the question of who can come to the island, who can work here, and so on. These have material facts upon who is employed, who is not employed.
But you will have to look at other things if elected. You can't just be Brexit.
Well, I do that anyway. I mean, I do that. That is my daily life, looking at all sorts of issues. So that's nothing new to me. But unemployment, I can't solve. In a 2-year agenda, I cannot solve. Now, the government here, as it happens, if you want to talk about other things, is clawing back from its back-to-work agenda. It's withdrawing money from the back-to-work agenda because it sees the plan, the mid-term financial plan, MTFP, is that there will be growth. The prediction is for growth. And they are virtually disregarding Brexit as an implication. In other words, they think that the employment opportunities, this is the official island plan, not mine, I tend to disagree with it, that Brexit will be of virtually no effect. In fact, there's going to be the opposite effect. Brexit will encourage growth. There will be more job employment opportunities. That's for your phone, the person who phoned you, Craig, was it you said?
Yeah. Craig, yeah.
For him, that's the official government line. It's not my line. I'm saying, I'm sorry to be a bit pessimistic, I think Brexit is more likely to have the opposite effect. Unemployment will become a bigger problem. That's why it's necessary to discuss Brexit and to be prepared for these eventualities. And obviously, to try and mitigate so these things don't happen.
Thanks for coming on this morning. Mike Dunn, who's announced he's standing in the senatorial by-election in September, with a real focus then on Brexit and the path that Jersey could go down as a result. The other candidates, we've been speaking to them as they announce here on the programme, Deputy Sam Mezek, Christian May, Sarah Ferguson, Guy Defay and Stevie Ocean, and Mike Dunn adding his name to that list.